Hello, this is Valdemar Januszczak, art critic, documentary producer and presenter, and thanks for watching Perspective, YouTube's home for classical art.
This is a series about the biggest events in our lives. Everywhere on Earth, human societies have found ways to mark the rites of passage almost all of us go through.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'm going to travel to some extraordinary places around the world to see how they celebrate the landmarks of life: birth, coming of age, marriage, and death.
Ritual has shaped our culture. It has come out of our natural bodily instincts, the way we behave, the way we move, the way we feel.
I'm Grayson Perry. I'm an artist. And in my work, I've always tried to cast an anthropological eye on the world I live in.
That spirit has just come all over my shirt.
And it seems to me that here in fast-changing, increasingly secular Britain, we're in danger of forgetting what a rite of passage can do for us.
I've been at funerals where the priest forgot the name of the deceased and their partner.
So I'm hoping the ceremonies I experience will have something important to teach us.
Look, what a privilege!
When I get back, I'll meet people in the UK who are going through the same events and who want to mark them in ways that feel true to their lives.
I'm really interested to talk to you about how we can help you have a really good death.
Together, we'll devise our own ceremonies, rites of passage for how we live now.
All rituals were invented by somebody. They didn't just come out of the ether from God. I'm in Japan, a modern, high-tech, industrial society. And yet, they have a great love, a deep love, of tradition here. Here, they choose the fact that they're going to celebrate a point in their lives in a very set, traditional, controlled way. They love detail. They love the aesthetic. They have a great instinct for what is beautiful.
I'm near Nagoya in central Japan, and I'm here to witness an elaborate ritual belonging to the country's official religion, a Shinto wedding. Today, I'm meeting the bride-to-be, 30-year-old office administrator Aya, on the day she's having her wedding kimono fitted and seeing it for the first time.
Why are you crying?
これを着てあさってお家をお世話になったお母さんとお父さんにお礼を言ってお家を出ていくんだなと思うといろんな思い出がちょっと蘇ってきちゃって。
On Saturday, when you wear this beautiful kimono, what will your feelings be?
できてないですまだ全然わからないです。当日どんな気持ちになるのかもわからないし。
Why did you want the traditional wedding?
特に強い、信仰心のあるものはないです。やはり日本人が昔からしてきた伝統的な花嫁の嫁ぎ方で生きたいなという憧れはありました。
Aya and her husband-to-be, company director Shu San, are a modern, non-religious couple living in a high-tech city. I'm curious to know why they would invest so much in their country's ritual traditions. So I asked the priest performing their wedding about the place ritual holds in Japanese life.
In general, why do Japanese people care so much about ritual?
日常の生活の中でただ毎日毎日に心を込めていろいろと勤しみ励むんですけれども、やはりメリハリというかやっぱりその区切りというものを、大事にすることだと思います。明治になって一般庶民が 神様の前で神社で行うようになったのは明治になってからだと思います。
So this ritual is really not very old.
神社で結婚式を行うというようになったのは明治になってからだと聞いております。
So the marriage I'm about to witness is a recently invented tradition. Yet it's being treated by everyone with utter solemnity. And it would turn out to be one of the most exquisitely beautiful things I'd ever seen. So it's 6:30 in the morning. We're at the bride's parents' house. All is a bustle. Photographers, stylists, wedding planners, the dog. Everyone is bustling about, preparing for the big day. And everything has a kind of time and a place. It's almost to the minute planned what's going to happen today. It takes 3 hours to prepare Aya in traditional Shinto dress. Every detail executed with incredible delicacy. Before finally she's ready to be revealed to her family and friends. Ancient tradition and a dog selfie. I love it. This is what it's all about. Now, at the temple, the ceremony begins as Aya is joined by Shu-san.
次に新郎新婦様にはご神前に玉串を立てますりご拝礼をいただきます。新郎新婦様ご起立ください。いよいよにご加護をいただかれ、幸大きい日々、幸せな日々を重ねていただきますよう、よろしく大導きを恋願ってご一緒におみきを召し上がっていただきます。柏手を一つお打ちください。お取りください。お召し上がりください。以上をもちまして倉内家、長坂家、ご両家親善結婚の儀、祭典も滞りなく成功いたしました。おめでとうございました。
The thing that strikes me about this Shinto wedding is just the pure precision and delicacy and the pace of it. Everything is symbolic. The sake is sort of like their first communal meal in a way. They go through this literal gateway, which is so loaded with symbolism and honor and history and communal goodwill. This gives us a lesson in how we might form rituals to mark things that need marking in our lives, to make us remember
and feel and celebrate and emote. I've returned from Japan to suburban England, and for my first ceremony, I'm going to work with a couple who have very different backgrounds. They're having not one, but 2 weddings, and I'm meeting them at their first wedding venue. Housed in a mock Tudor mansion in Watford is Britain's biggest Hare Krishna temple. I'm curious to have a look inside because, you know, the exterior is not screaming Hare Krishna at me. So I'm sort of interested. I'm interested in its kind of covert nature, you know. But yeah, it was George Harrison's mansion, I believe, that was given to the Hare Krishnas. Great. Ben, the groom-to-be, isn't religious. But Sarika is Hare Krishna. An offshoot of Hinduism that I'm about to discover is as rich in tradition as anything I saw in Japan.
So that's Lord Krishna. He's the naughty one.
Right.
So he's the one that steals all the butter, the milk, all the sweet stuff.
Right.
And then gives it to all his friends.
I like the different styles.
Yeah.
You know, some are quite kitschy, some are a bit more folky. I want to find out what happens at the Hare Krishna ceremony. So I'm joining Ben and Sarika at their pre-wedding meeting with the priest.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to Bhaktivedanta Manor. So I'll be the priest performing the wedding. Yay, maybe not. So congratulations for your kind of big day. And I'm here to make sure everything does go smoothly and iron out any bumps.
I just wanted to know the main bits that Ben and Ben's mum will be doing.
Yeah. So in our tradition, when the groom comes, he comes in the form of Vishnu. Vishnu is God, and then that's why he's given all kind of worship. The bride's family, they wash your feet. It's only going to happen once, so you better enjoy it, you know.
Is this Ben's chance to actually be a god for a day?
Yeah. So once that's done, then the magic moment comes when the bride arrives. Now the tradition dictates that when the bride comes in, believe it or not, the groom has not seen the bride before. So then there's a curtain that goes in between, and then as the bride walks in, the curtains will go down, and you will look at each other, and hopefully it'll be the right kind of, you know, couple, you know.
Right person.
Don't be disappointed.
I leave the temple with the feeling that the Hare Krishna part of this wedding is sorted. In Newbury, where Ben and Sarika live, I want to find out what ideas they have for their secular ceremony the following day.
The peacocks, they're a symbol of love.
Wow.
So these are going on the table. So they will go at the table stand, and there'll be 3 empty bottles of alcohol with peacock feathers in them as well. And one's an empty bottle which is shaped as a Buddha.
Well, hang on. Let me get my head round this. There's an empty bottle of alcohol that's shaped like a Buddha.
Yeah, it's a beer. It's a beer bottle, but it's the shape of a Buddha.
Yeah.
I didn't drink them all myself, I promise.
What if it was a Krishna-shaped beer bottle? Would that be bad?
God, that'd be really bad, yeah.
In terms of your second wedding ceremony, what are you imagining is the ceremony will comprise in terms of its traditions?
So the Sunday is civil service. It won't be like hymns and vows. You know, it's not going to be a traditional sort of church wedding. That, you know, it will be a very simple service. But we've not really discussed like the Sunday in terms of, oh, we have to do this or we have to do that as part of the ceremony.
What I find interesting is that as a British person, we have lost a lot of our traditions, you know, because I'm sort of thinking, what is your equivalent to all of the sort of complexity and tradition of the Hare Krishna wedding?
Yeah.
How do you sort of ramp it up? Because all ritual does not, you know, it's come, somebody at some point has said, oh, that works. You know, isn't it good if that happens? And then somebody said, yeah, I was really touched by that bit when that happened like that. Because what I'm finding very often is that rituals that we think of as ancient aren't that old. It's sort of thinking about what electrifies the emotion in the air in what you do in that moment.
Ben and Sarika, like many of us in modern Britain, seem to be struggling with how to make their secular ceremony as meaningful as a traditional religious one. And maybe that's where I can help them. What are our traditions we believe in? What are the kind of markers of Britishness, Englishness? And, you know, we can often trot out cliches about the flag and the Queen and the last night of the proms. I'm never quite sure if that's true. But is there something more day to day? I'm sort of trying to see Ben. I'm trying to exoticize him, really, in my own eyes. He seems, you know, a regular guy. What would strike me about him if I was an alien? But there's another dimension of marriage for which we have no rituals at all. Over 4 in 10 marriages in Britain end in divorce. And so, for my second ritual, in leafy Surrey, I'm going to devise a divorce ceremony. Dilly and Mark were married for 25 years. They have 2 daughters, Ruby and Rosie, who are 14 and 17. But 4 years ago, Mark decided to end the relationship.
You're signing the ones in yellow, and I'm signing where there's blue.
Okay.
I meet them on the day they're signing their divorce papers. Wow, there you go. How's that feel?
You know what? I felt like there wasn't any music.
The last time you signed a document like that, there was music playing.
Yeah.
The day we got married, it was such a beautiful day, and I remember the intimacy of holding Mark's hand. To have that within such a crowded room, it just felt lovely. Yeah. I felt like Mark and I were always a real team. I just remember sitting on the top of the stairs and just thinking, I am so happy. I felt really happy in our marriage, blessed to have the girls, and I just remember that moment, and I think that's really important, to take stock of what you have and really appreciate it, because things can change, obviously.
Did you do that?
I don't remember having that, but that's not to say that I wasn't happy. You know, having the girls and being reaching that sort of position it was good.
So there was a moment when you must have said, right, that's it, I'm abandoning hope of it continuing how it was.
I said that I didn't think that I could continue like this and that I was going to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what prompted your decision?
Well, I don't know if there was a specific event. There was a long process of, for me, I suppose, undermining the relationship, I guess, really. Like going out after work more and, drinking with colleagues and not sort of coming back and being in the home and just sort of separating myself.
And I felt, in the way that Mark just said, he distanced himself, and yet we had the family together. That was so precious. And I thought, why aren't you fighting for this? That's what I did. I fought for us. But ultimately, if he didn't want to be here, he didn't want to be here. And that's what I kind of had to come to terms with.
How have the kids been around it, really?
I've tried to be as honest with them as possible. I think it's important to, keep things as calm and positive as possible.
I feel positive about this conversation. I think it might be because I have a big personal investment in it. I'm a child of divorce. My parents got divorced when I was 5. And it's still, the repercussions of it was very bitter, very divisive. And so I am motivated to sort of do something about it.
I want to work out how a divorce ceremony might help Dilly and Mark. Since they separated, Mark tells me he's been living in rented accommodation just across the park from Dilly and their daughters.
How many people in this house?
There's 3 down here, and then there's 1, 2, 3 upstairs. So the landlord lives upstairs, and then 2 as a couple, and then 3 guys down here.
All right. So how do you get on with the other people in the house?
Well, you know, we rub along together.
It must be odd going back to kind of shared accommodation.
Oh, yeah. Going back to living effectively like a student was a challenge, I suppose, or still is, you know.
Yeah. So what are the upsides of living like this, though?
Well, I come and go without really any sort of limitations.
Because I always think, you know, when people talk about freedom, you know, like, oh, yeah, I'll be free. And I always think, is that, you know, it's a double-edged sword, freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The flip side of that, potentially, is the fact that you're alone. But then, you know, I think reflecting back to living within a marriage where you feel lonely, that's the same thing almost.
Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, if you're feeling kind of not met.
Yeah. For me, the fear that I actually had, which about that time, and it wasn't necessarily about the marriage, it was more about my life and the way it was, that I was more or less sort of, you know, flatlining towards death, you know, with absolutely no fluctuations, you know, like you just go through these motions of like doing the same thing, you know, maybe you get a promotion, maybe you get a bit more money, maybe you get another car, maybe you get bifolding doors, maybe you get a bigger house. It's like it's like a sort of routine that has been, you know, set out for you by you know, by society almost. You know, I think a lot of guys go through that. Like literally, I'm like a cliche, you know.
So but I think we need at some point to focus on how these thoughts might be framed in a ceremony. You see what I mean?
One, I think that invariably there's music involved.
Yeah.
And invariably there's readings of various sorts involved. And then there is a means by which you could express regret or sorrow or acknowledgement of pain, I suppose. You know, like, it does need to end on an upbeat note.
I think that's a great note as well, to say to people watching it that there is perfectly okay life after divorce, and yes, but we do need to deal with it in a good way. It sounds counterintuitive that you celebrate a divorce because, you know, it is marking the end of something. But relationships, you know, they're more organic than that. You just don't turn them off with a switch. They have a sort of afterlife that glows within inside us for good or ill. And I think Dilly and Mark are trying to make that glow all good. You know, of course there's been pain and anger and hurt, but I really, really want to help them have an event where they come away from it thinking, that was a good thing, you know, that marked that change in life in a good way. And isn't that what all rituals are?
Back in Newbury, my task is to bring some ritual magic to Ben and Sarika's civil wedding. In the hope of some inspiration, I've decided to delve deeper into Ben's life. And I've found myself joining him for some cricket practice. Which turns out for me to be much needed.
Whoa. Oh, no. The last time I played cricket was on a beach in 1968. I get the impression that cricket's pretty important for you.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I've been playing I've been playing league cricket since I was 12, 13. It's the one constant that I've had over those 20 years. It's like, oh, brilliant, it's cricket season's coming around. It is a big part of my life.
I mean, we're making a series about ritual. I mean, you can't get more ritualistic in many ways than a game of cricket, can you?
Yeah, and a lot of people have their different sort of mannerisms. You know, some of the guys will pad up the same way all the time. They'll have their own little superstitions when they go out to bat. They'll have their own little fidgets. There's a lot of rhythm in the game.
I just wondered, in a kind of hierarchy of your identity, where cricket stood.
I think if you asked other people, I think 9 times out of 10 they would know me because of cricket.
Well, that's interesting.
They wouldn't necessarily know me because of work or being at school or college. They would predominantly know me because of cricket.
That's fascinating, because that's a network, isn't it? That's a community that you built up through this ritual. Just talking to you now, I can see how much it means to you. And looking around, you know, there is something almost, yeah, I would say it's quite moving. I remember when I was at school, cricket always did seem like this archaic thing. It still is. There's something about 3 sticks and a bat and a leather ball that is still harking back to the 18th century when it began. I think the way that they're kind of melded into the seasons and the landscape, you know, a British village, what's it made up of? You know, you've got a church, a pub, and a village green where they would play cricket. You know, this is the holy triumvirate of British rural life, really. And these guys are still practicing that religion. They're still supplicants at the 22-yard aisle.
The newly uncovered religion of cricket has given me an idea for an artwork to be used at Ben and Sarika's civil ceremony. I chose the Staffordshire figure style because it was so English, and they're very much part of the English folk tradition, and came about the same time as cricket, because you get Staffordshire figures of early cricketers. But of course, in this case, you know, the inevitable comparison is with the Hindu gods and goddesses. And these were the domestic figurines that populated, you know, the folk shrines of Britain. Ben and Sarika forever, I put it on the front because that's what marriage means, isn't it? That we're going to be with this person forever. As someone who's been married for 30 years, you know, I celebrate that, but that's what this was about in a way, is that, you know, a marriage is like a ceramic in that it will endure, but it's also very fragile. You know, ceramic will, if I bury this in the ground, it will look exactly the same in 1,000 years' time when I dig it up. But of course, all I have to do is knock it off the table and it's smashed. You know, and in that paradox is marriage as well. But I fear when the ceramic breaks, many of us are at a loss for what to do. I think a ritual could help. And with that in mind, I'm going to talk to Dilly about what she wants from her divorce ceremony.
If we're going to do this ritual, I'm kind of interested in what purpose it could serve for you.
With regards to divorce, there's quite a lot of shame involved. And I think I would like this ceremony to dissipate that shame. It was a really slow, painful process for both of us, and we need support moving on and out of that, you know. And that's hopefully what the people within your community and your family help you do.
Traditionally, that the community also had the opposite effect, and so you're asking for quite a radical thing in a way, is for the society to sort of go from sort of supporting you as a couple to saying, OK, I can understand this now, and now we're going to support you in your decision to get divorced.
I don't want this divorce to define me. I want to celebrate what we do have, and I think this whole process has made me very appreciative of what I do have.
Yeah.
But there are two more people involved in this process whose feelings I need to understand. Dilly and Mark's teenage daughters, Ruby and Rosie.
Should we say grace? No, let's not. No. We never say grace.
I'm joining them for their twice-weekly dinner with their dad.
So what do you think about the idea of having a divorce ceremony for your mum and dad?
I think it's a really good
I think
idea.
it's quite cool.
What would you want it to say?
Right. Oh, I think how like happy it is, maybe like how it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I wanted to show that you can move on. And
Yeah.
like there's more to like life
it's
than
a
just
right to
like
move
being in a relationship, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. And that it doesn't have to like you said, like it doesn't have to be the end. It can
Yeah.
like carry on from there. But then I don't know how you'd show it, but more like, okay, like this is the end of the ceremony, but you can go and like on with your life now and carry on.
I think you two are important in it because you've got most of your lives in front of you. And also I think children aren't allowed to be important in divorce. So I think you should be important in it.
Definitely. I mean, I believe the children are our future for sure. There's no doubt about it.
That's true.
I think Michael Jackson does as well.
I think it was Whitney Houston. Thinking about Dilly and Mark and how we might do a divorce ceremony, I like the idea that the ceremony might be outdoors. So I like the idea that we might have a procession and, a flag is something that goes with processions. I will be taking a pair of scissors to the ceremony. You can't shy away from it, that a divorce is the end of something. Something is broken, something is destroyed. But with Dilly and Mark, they're showing that this thing needn't be a fucking disaster. For so many kids particularly, divorce is, a trauma. And I think they're showing that, it doesn't have to be that way. I think they're great. Should be celebrated with the flag that you're cutting off.
Sarika and Ben's wedding day has finally arrived. Tomorrow, I'll be unveiling my artwork at their civil ceremony. But today, as a guest at the temple in Watford, it's my chance to see the traditional Hare Krishna ritual in all its glory.
Ladies and gentlemen, does anyone know why he's here today? He's here to claim the bride as his wife. Hey! If there's any obstacles coming his way, this gentleman is ready to remove those obstacles. This clay pot I hold in my hand represents those obstacles. For Ben, the groom, to get the hand of the bride today, he has to smash the clay pot. Okay, so Ben, give us your best Jackie Chan move, yeah? 1, 2, 3. Try your Bruce Lee move now. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I accept you.
I accept you
as my partner in life.
As my partner in life.
As my partner in life.
For 100 autumns.
For 100 autumns.
Om Jnana Devarandasya As a priest, I can happily announce in the eyes of Vishnu Bhagwan, the bride and the groom are now officially husband and wife!
The takeaway point I come away with after seeing my first Hare Krishna wedding is that the people here are very easy with ceremony, with tradition, with ritual. It has the sort of relaxed fluency. It's beautiful, and it's sort of joyful, and so it should be. It's a wedding, you know. I tell you, I've enjoyed it a lot. For a 2-hour ritual, it was actually, I was not bored. It was good. The next day at Newbury Racecourse, I'm hoping the surprise I have in store for Ben and Sarika's civil wedding has anything approaching that level of emotional impact. Yeah. A secret for now. My contribution to the ceremony isn't just an artwork. In a few moments, I'll be asking everyone here to participate in an entirely new ritual.
It gives me great pleasure to declare that you are now husband and wife. We'd like to kiss them.
Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm Grayson Perry. I'm an artist, and so I've made something for Ben and Sarika here. So here's the thing I have made.
It's dirty. That is very good.
And I've also thought that it should involve all of you lot as well, because all rituals are witnessed. You know, you've witnessed Ben and Sarika getting married today, and that's a big part of it. And so I wanted to include you. So under everybody's seat, there should be an envelope, okay? And in each envelope, you'll find a pencil and a little piece of paper. Aww. All I want you to do is complete the sentence. And the sentence says, the secret of a long and happy marriage is... And then fold it up nice and small, the piece of paper, because I've got to get 200 plus in this little box. And then perhaps one day, in an emergency, they might need to break the box open.
Does it not open?
No, it doesn't open.
There's a little note on the back that says, break in the case of an emergency.
But I'm trusting that you love each other enough to never open the box.
We won't.
Thank you, my lovely. It's lovely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We could do a hug or a handshake.
A hug and a handshake. The civil ceremony, you know, it's always going to lose in a competition against a full-blown Hindu wedding. But all it needs, ritual, is to ramp up what's there anyway. And I think that to fully embrace what ceremony is also to fully embrace what the ceremony is about and to feel it. And often, you know, it can get lost in the organisation and the table runners and the menu for the meal. And in the end, it's about love and community, and that's a great thing. Dilly and Mark have decided to hold their divorce ceremony in the park where he proposed to her. And to begin, they've arranged a procession of their friends in the order they came into their lives over the 25 years they spent together. My finished artwork is being carried by Rosie and Ruby.
I don't think we would have reached this point now without the magnanimity and positivity of Dill. And I know that I can't fully understand the pain that I may have caused for Dill, but I guess I'd like to express my sorrow for how I've hurt you and my gratitude to you for staying strong. Although our paths might be diverging, we will always be bound by what our love has created. Rosie and Ruby are testimony to everything positive that we had, and their positive energy will live on.
When I first met Mark, he was like a beautifully wrapped gift. And when I unwrapped him, he was just as lovely inside. He is a good man and a wonderful father, and I know that I married him for all the right reasons. This experience has taught me, through great loss, to appreciate the treasures that I have and how precious those treasures are, because at any moment, everything can change. But now it is time to draw a line, time to face a new beginning.
Now I have something here that I want you to do.
Oh.
I want you to cut it in half.
Oh.
I think Mark should do it.
No, I can't just do it alone.
You can start the cutting.
I'll start the line. I'll do up to our hands, and then you can do
If the girls
beyond.
can hold it tight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
go. Fine.
Come together in the middle here, because one of the things I wanted to celebrate here really was the fact you are here together.
Yeah.
And I think you're a fantastic example of how to have a divorce. And I think one of the most important things is you're here with all your friends, and so
I'd now like to invite everyone to come and pin it back together for you. So come up here now and do it. Nobody gets married thinking this is going to happen. But there's good ways and there's bad ways to bring it to a close. And I think that if we're going to be grown-ups and we've got children, these are really important things to think about. This is not a trivial party. This is a celebration of emotional maturity and love. Even though it's the end of a relationship, it's about love. That's a great thing.